seriously losing my hair. Did that just happen? It's so light right now.
It's the mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the reports that enemy planes are approaching. In less than 3 hours, an H-bomb might fall over Portland.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of WTF Portland. I come to you today from somewhere around 103rd and Division Street in Southeast Portland, in front of a rather ragged-looking kind of gate. Actually, this is sort of a scary area. I don't want to say that too loud because there are houses right around here. We're in the middle of a neighborhood, except we're on the side of a mountain, and that's where we're headed today. We're going to go up past that gate, up that scary road, and look for something that's been hidden for a long time. Let's see if we can go find it. You know, there's really no indication, no sign or anything when you get to that gate, and so you don't know what this is. It just says no camping and no plant harvesting. I don't know if people were up here growing weed or what, but it definitely doesn't say welcome to Butte Natural Scenic. Now, when you get to the top of this hill, you're going to have two options. You can either go up or down. We'll go up in a second, but we're going to start our tour going down. Kelly Butte has a long and storied history. It is part of the Boring lava field, a lava field that covers a lot of the Willamette Valley, definitely all of Portland. As part of its formation, it left a lot of what we call now buttes, but they're volcanic vents. So basically, there was a hot spot under where we are, and the crust was thin enough that the magma could pop through and become lava. And when it hit the atmosphere, all of the gases would release, and the magma would explode, the lava would explode, and it would create this stuff called clinker and ash. And that's what most of the buttes in Portland are made up of. It's just a junk pile. It's a volcanic junk pile. We're now at the bottom of the parking lot in a grassy area. You can see the parking lot back there, kind of behind those piles of brush. I guess volcanoes were the only thing that left debris on this hill. Kelly Butte was named after a Kentucky minister named Clinton Kelly. Clinton Kelly moved to the Oregon Territory in 1848, and he settled in this area. Clinton owned this property, but had a settlement a little bit farther south of here. However, his son, Plimpton, had a farm located on or near the butte. Now, once you get to the end of the parking lot, keep walking through the grassy area and cut through the trees. You'll see that the path in the grassy area keeps going, but if you cut through the trees, you'll find another path that is in decent disrepair. Is in decent repair. Plimpton Kelly died in 1906, and shortly thereafter, a prison and a quarry were built on the property. Now, as you can imagine, prison, quarry, and 1906 go hand in hand, and that cheap forced labor and ample building materials went a long way to aid the construction of a burgeoning Portland. From 1920 to 1960, a 60-bed hospital specializing in infectious diseases, existed on the west side of Kelly Butte, close to where Highway 205 runs now. The hospital was raised, and in 1968, a 10 million gallon water tank was put in its place. If we keep walking along this path, we're going to find something that looks a little bit out of place, certainly unnatural, and it's the first sign that we have found what we are here to see. In 1956, the powers that be decided that Portland should have a bunker. Cold War fears were fuming at that time, and it seemed like a good idea to have a place for city officials and other important folks to go.
And now I would like a brief situation report from all departments on how we stand.
Let's face facts, gentlemen. If we have a blast on target, downtown Portland, it will be hours and probably days before we can get back in.
The bunker was built for a cost of approximately $670,000, 1962 money. That translates to about $5.7 million in 2020 money. Seems like a good deal. I don't know. If I was rich and had $6 million, I think I would build a bunker. It seems reasonable. And I think the most important part, could hold up to 250 people for 2 weeks. That includes food, water, everything you'd need to keep 250 people alive for 2 weeks in this bunker on a hill in southeast Portland. I'm going to try to slide down this little hill here. I should probably turn the camera off, or I can use my monopod as a, oh yeah, stay low and go. This wall is only one part of what's still exposed of the bunker. We'll go ahead and walk back down this path, kind of came in, or go back the way that we came in, and we'll find the other half of the bunker. You can see, as you're walking along this trail, that there are still some remains of a water management system or something. I'm not exactly sure, but there's definitely kind of a tunnel down here that looks like it goes straight into the bunker. We're going to walk back along the path that we came into the woods through on, and go back into the grassy area. Now, instead of going back to the parking lot, which is over there, we're going to come down here and go up that way. This area feels a little funky. I know that people have lived here throughout the times, both in the bunker after it was abandoned, and now you can still see a decent amount of human debris. But thankfully, even though not a lot of people come to this park, I think enough people come here that, sorry about that. I think enough people come here that it's not a spot where people choose to live full time. This area is so overgrown now, it's really hard to see what's going on. But behind me, you'll see that there is another wall with some graffiti on it. This is the other side of the bunker. So the first wall that I showed you is over there, maybe 40 feet. This would have been the front, the access point for the bunker. You can see over here that there are some stairs that go up. They would have gone up to the top deck parking. The bunker was originally built as the Kelly Butte Civil Defense Center. Built in 1956, it only needed a few years to have an opportunity to prove itself. On October 12th, 1962, a massive extratropical storm named Frida rolled through the Pacific Northwest.
When the siren sounds, some cities go underground, take to shelter, particularly if there's little warning. But Portland evacuates according to a well-thought-out plan. The question is at 10:45, on the day called X, will it work?
Scientists said it was the largest storm observed in the Pacific Northwest since 1880. According to Atlas Obscura, when the storm hit, city officials were presented with two options: either stay at City Hall or come up here to a nuclear bunker. They made the obvious choice and stayed at City Hall. Within hours, power and communication were lost at City Hall. and city officials had no way to direct cleanup efforts. The city was a disaster. Interest in the Kelly Butte Civil Defense Center as a bunker for nuclear war really lost popularity, partly because of the stupidity of the city officials, but also because just about 2 weeks later, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. And that really raised the awareness of people in the US as to the true destructive nature of nuclear weapons and how close we actually were to that sort of event. People realized if there was a strike on a major American city, what good was it going to do to house 250 people, city officials, teachers, scientists, I don't know, when the rest of the city was in ruins? It wouldn't have done any good. Less than a month later, on the November ballot, voters were asked to approve a tax initiative to provide more money for this bunker. They said no. Within the next few years, the bunker was completely defunded and moved out. And then it was repurposed. We're back up to the fork in the road, and instead of going down here, that's where we just came from, instead, we're gonna go up here. This is where we're going. We're now standing on top of the bunker. You can't really see it because it's too overgrown, but if you could, you'd see that there would be a cliff, like right here, and that's the front face of the bunker. Those walls that we were looking at, they're right here, and the stairs that I pointed out are kind of coming up right there. I don't think you can see the top of them from up here, but that it would have led to the upper parking lot. After the city's successful storm debacle failure, the Kelly Butte Defense Center was eventually turned into the Bureau of Emergency Communications, or BOEC. That's basically a fancy name for a 911 dispatch center. The BOEC only lasted for about 20 years. You see, the bunker just simply wasn't built for that sort of habitation. People were getting sick from being inside with no windows for so long. I'm sure the ventilation wasn't very good. Eventually, the BOEC moved on, and in fact, its current location is just about a mile south of Kelly Butte. During the bunker's time as the BOEC, they had a Dutch-born, Portland-based artist named Hank Pender come in and paint a huge mural on the back wall of the dispatch center. It was called Palmyra, and it was 30 feet by 75 feet. And I keep using the past tense, but I really shouldn't, because if you could still get into the bunker, you would see it. You know, because the BOEC was the last thing to really exist inside the bunker, none of the walls were painted over when they left. So that huge 30 by 75 foot mural is still in there. And if I had to guess, I don't know where the true footprint of the bunker is, but I would say it's probably somewhere back there. I don't know. After the BOEC closed, nothing really went in to take its spot. And eventually it was decided that it wasn't completely safe. So in 2006, it was filled in. All of the air vents were filled in. All of the doors were closed. It's now no longer possible to get in there. Nowadays, it is a city park, so it's possible to come up here on any sort of day, a nice day, an ugly day, a quiet day, a cloudy day. Go for a walk in nature. Even though you can't go into the bunker anymore or really see any of it, it's good to come up to Kelly Butte. It represents a little slice of Portland history, and it's also a beautiful slice of current Portland nature. Yeah, such a beautiful day. That was a big spider. Thanks for joining me for another episode of WTF Portland. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like and subscribe down below. Also, if you're interested in more information about Kelly Butte, I've left some links to some of the resources that I used for the information for this video. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.